Hello everyone, welcome to this episode of Quick Packard Repairs. Today we're going to be going over how to do a standard service for a power window switch. Now the first thing you want to do is get access to the back of the switch. For example, on this Packard 400 rear window switch here, you need to take the this upholstery panel off with some screws that are located in pretty obvious places. So once you have the upholstery panel pulled away from the car, you need to disconnect the wiring. You'll either have some pull connectors here, or you'll just have to unscrew it off of a nut, and these three should just pull straight off. You will want to take a picture of this before you start, just in case it's not obvious how it goes back together when you're done. But other than that, it should come out pretty easy. Now you'll have this on your workbench and you can access the switch a little easier. So how you get the switch out is you want to push on these metal tabs here while pushing down on the switch. And this will help get this out of its metal frame that it's in. And then also, of course, get this one in the back here, which is always the hard one. Sometimes you can help things out with some pliers. We're getting close here. Sometimes it makes the most sense to do the back one first because it's hardest to reach. There we go. That was a good way to do it. Now we just take care of these other two. There we go. Now we have the switch pulled out, and I'll set the upholstery panel aside. Now you'll have these clips here, and if you're lucky you might have one or some of them pull out when you pull the switch out here, but a lot of you will be pulling out a switch that looks like this. So how you get these out is you take an Allen key or some similar thin instrument. I'm actually using this is a nail countersinking tool, but all you want to do is push this in. So it may be hard to see, but there's this hole in the metal piece, and then there's a hole directly behind it. So you want to push this through both holes, push firmly, and then rock it kind of up to get this thing a little bit out of there. And then we'll do that for the other two. Push firmly, and then rock it up, and that'll get this unclipped here. There's a little focus. There's a little clip right here, and that's what we are undoing when we do this. There we go. Now if you are re-chroming things, now you will have a chrome piece that you can get re-chromed. Now we have our switch here. You just want to take a punch and very carefully knock out this pin here. I can reuse this same tool, and then we can pull it out with a pair of needle nose pliers. There we go. Make sure you have your finger on that when you do that. So this is your other chrome piece if you're re-chroming things. Now the switch itself here, you'll have these two things that come out with a spring, and these are your contacts. So how the switch works is, lighting's a little bit bad in here right now. You have two pairs of contacts here, of course. So this middle terminal is your common terminal, and then you have your terminals for up and down or vice versa. The switch itself is symmetrical. So you have a pair of contacts here and a pair of contacts down here. These pieces here just have a piece of metal in them, and then when you push the window switch one way or the other, that just pushes these down in. I'll get a spring here so I don't get one stuck. Pushes this down in and shorts those two tabs together, and then when you release the switch, this comes up and the tabs are no longer shorted. So if your window switch is not working properly, you will want to take some emery paper, just like if you're grinding some points. Where's my emery paper? Here we go. And just, you know, just like if you're doing some distributor points, get this in here, and we need to make it even thinner than that. Get some of this in here, and then just clean these tabs up a little bit. It's not particularly easy, but it's the only way to do it, really. You could probably also get in there with a file if you're careful. We do have some files here, so we could try that method instead. See if it's a little bit easier. Here we go. So if you want to clean these up, you can just get in and kind of file them down a little bit. Make sure to rock the switch a little bit when you're doing this to get it from the most angles possible, get the most amount of corrosion or whatever is on there off of there. Likewise, if you are having intermittent continuity, you may want to get in there with some pliers and just very gently squeeze these a little bit closer together. So make sure they have the best contact possible. And at this point, if your switch is squeaking, you're going to want to put some grease on this piece here, because that will keep it from squeaking when it goes in and out of the contacts. Other than that, it's time to reassemble, so we can just put these two contacts back in like this. This one is upside down. Oops. We can test out the functionality there. Now, you got to be careful if you push your tabs together, because you may end up with some contacts sticking a little bit. So you can add some grease or just carefully pull the tabs back apart. So I'm going to get in there with my file and gently push them apart a little bit. There we go. This should be a bit better. There we go. That's a nice feel there. It's not sticking, but it's also not loose. There we go. Now we have our contacts back in the switch. We put our rocker back on here. Make sure your contacts are both aligned, as so, of course. And then we can gently put this pin back in, which is always a little bit harder than it looks. There we go. Now we can take our tabs here. We put the switch back in to the bezel here. It really doesn't matter which way it goes back in. On this particular one, it went this way originally, so we can copy that. Then we just stick these tabs in here. Now, what you will want to be careful with on this is that this chrome piece here kind of gets in the way of these tabs a little bit. So before you press them all the way in, you want to compress them a little bit and then push them in so that they're behind this chrome. Otherwise, they might not want to stay all the way in. Of course, you can take a screwdriver under there and just pull that tab out a little bit if you're having problems with them staying in. Compress this a little bit and then slide it all the way on. Now, of course, we can go back to our trim piece, and all we have to do is line this up in the correct orientation. Forgot to mention earlier, but if you're doing a super high quality restoration, you're going to want to undo these tabs and pull this out, but that's probably pretty obvious. So we just take our switch and pop it right back in. We do all of our electrical connections in the back and reinstall the trim piece same way we took it out. Now we have a nice high-performing switch. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.